Can you talk a little bit maybe about your vlogging, like what made you want to do that, and you know, how do you decide when you're going to do a video? Like what kinds of things you know, do you prioritize? I've seen a couple of them that were named stuff like what was it, fighting for practice time, for instance,
Yeah.
was one of the topic. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. I'm not entirely sure what the motivation was like when I first started, but I remember we had just moved. I had just recently completed this space that I'm in right now, and that was sort of like that was a big goal of mine, to finally have a spot of my own, you know, and that had happened. And so, well, actually, that actually is kind of the reason. So I have finally this thing that I've always said that I desperately wanted and needed, which was my own place that I could play music and would not bother anybody. It's soundproof. And, you know, so theoretically having kids, like, oh, I can now, I can remove that stressor of like needing to fit practice time in during the day, because I can go do it after they go to bed and I'm not going to bother anybody. That was the idea. My fear, again, a lot of my stuff is motivated by fear, it seems like, as I say it out loud. No, my fear was that I wouldn't use it, that I would go to all this trouble and expense and have this wonderful tool having this studio, and that I wouldn't use it. And the reason is because I had seen other people in my life who said for years, oh, I will do my art when I finally have a studio. And then they get the studio and it becomes a storage facility. I will do my music when I finally have this, or I'll do my such and such when I finally have this other thing. And then lo and behold, they get the thing they said they needed, and it turns out that wasn't the roadblock after all. Right? So that was my fear, that would happen. So the videos, they became, well, two things happened. There was that, and so I thought I need a way to hold myself accountable, because I know that like I function well on deadlines and sort of outward accountability, and I'm not, there's a whole book about this that Gretchen Rubin wrote called like the happiness quadrant or something. I don't know, I have to look it up. It's on my bookshelf, but there's like, she breaks it down to there being 4 types of people, and you're either one of these people who's intrinsically or externally motivated, etc. I hadn't read the book yet. I just know how I am. So I thought, all right. And then I stumbled on a video on YouTube. This was either like 2015, 2016 maybe, of this guy Casey Neistat, who's like this huge vlogger. I'm sure you've heard of him or seen him. I don't remember how I saw it, but I saw some video of him surfing around or snowboarding around New York, like on a snowstorm. He got millions of views. I saw that video. But then in the recommended videos, like next to it, was this vlog. I'd never heard of that, you know? And I started to go down the rabbit hole of his videos and he was doing a video every day. And that blew my mind. I was like, you're doing this every day? Like, I know what it takes to make one. You know, I've been making videos in a long time in one way or the other, but that blew my mind. And so the two things merged. I thought, well, all right, I got this YouTube channel, you know, wasn't a big channel or anything, it was tiny, but I thought if I just come into the practice room and I know I want to shed, I want to be in here at night, I want to take care of business, so to speak. I'll just make a little video about it. I'll put it up in the middle of the night. The only people who will know about it are like whatever, the 1,000 people that subscribe to my channel. You know, I'm not going to tell anybody about it. It's just for me. And the fact that somebody will know about it, that's it. That's all I need. And then I'll do it again. I'll see if I can do it again tomorrow. And I'll see if I can do it again tomorrow. And I kept that up, motivated by what I was seeing this, you know, superhuman guy do. And I did it consistently every day for, I don't know, probably close to 3 months in that first year. It nearly broke me. But that's how it got started. It began as just a little bit of motivation for me to do what I needed to put in the time. Like, I'm going to be in here doing it anyway. I'll talk about, if something pops to mind, I'll just talk about it. I really had no formula. That was about it. And it evolved from like basically me just making like, if you look at those the very first episodes I made, whatever, they're just 6 minutes, 8 minutes long of me kind of talking about something that I'm practicing. I don't know. There was no plan other than sort of just crossing the chasm into this weird thing I'd never even thought about or considered, like putting a video on my YouTube channel every day. Like previously, I'd only thought of YouTube as the place where I would put concert footage for me. You know what I mean? Like clips of me playing with John Mayer, that goes on YouTube. Pick clips of me in this situation, you know, whatever. That was what YouTube was for. So the combination of those two things, hit the influence of seeing him do it. And I should say, there were people vlogging, you know, for a long time. And I'd seen things here and there. None of it had ever caught my interest. The thing about Casey that caught my interest was it reminded me of the movies I was making as a preteen, as an adolescent, before I made music. So when I saw Casey's videos, I could show you movies if I could find them, you know, like in boxes somewhere. I could show you stuff I made when I was 12. I'm not gonna say it was amazing, but it was similar in motivation. Let's put it that way. So I loved the process of making movies, and I watched Casey's stuff and I was like, this guy's not just talking to his camera every day. He's making a film every day. And that got really exciting to me. But again, our son was a baby that year. So,
yeah,
you know, babies are one kind of challenge, but 4-year-old boys are a different kind of challenge and demand a whole different kind of attention. So
yes,
that's why the timing, to your question, how do I decide? It was both easier and more difficult, or more difficult and easier. Like when I started, I said, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do this every night. And I used to publish the videos at 3 a.m. This had nothing to do with YouTube algorithms or popularity or trying to gain views or anything, and everything to do with me trying to do one thing consistently every day, because I've always struggled with practicing. I tell people, I'll tell anybody, like students or otherwise, like I don't like practicing, but I hate sounding bad. So, you know, I have to find ways to reconcile those two. I generally enjoy it once I get into it, but it's like going to the gym or something. I don't know, pick your whatever. It's like until I get into it, it's often something that I'm like, yeah, I got to do that. I'll just do that later. And then the later becomes later, and then later becomes tomorrow. So again, it was just a motive. It was a way to kick my own ass into gear, you know? Like, all right, you built this thing. You can go out there and practice at any time of the day. That's what you said you needed. So go do it. Go practice at 11 p.m., you know? And I would do that. I would practice at 11, you know, 10 o'clock, 11, and then I would start to edit the video. But then I was like editing video until 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I was getting up at 7 to take my daughter to preschool. And it got to be crazy. And then I went on the road, you know, then I started getting back on the road, and yeah. So what happens is like the whole thing evolved, and I have this long list. I don't know where it is now, but I have multiple lists of the videos that I want to make that I haven't, you know, and I have all this footage that I've collected, and, you know, sometimes I get to it and sometimes I don't, but I struggle. I would say that every day I think about it. Because I valued it as a tool. I loved the sort of, you know, all right, there is no decision. It's just a new day, so you make a video. And then who cares what yesterday's one was, because today's is going to be today. I really actually enjoyed that part of it, but for the fact that I never figured out a way to do it that didn't take less than 6 hours of basically editing. And people comment and say, well, just hire an editor. But that's missing the point. What I enjoyed is the editing, because that's where you tell the story.
Yeah, I'm finding a lot of similarities between us. So one of the things that you said about struggling with practicing. Now, I practice regularly, but I don't like to practice. I mean, I love to fart around.
Right.
You know, I mean, I have a lot of gear and I can waste a lot of time. Okay.
Right.
And I can do that forever. And I can literally forget to eat for a couple days because I'm just so, you know, tunnel vision on some new piece of gear or something. Yep. But as far as like actually working on something that I can't play and like sounding bad and struggling with it, and I don't really like that very much.
Right.
But just like you said, but I also don't like to sound bad. and
Right.
and there's a long list of things I want to accomplish in where I think I should be as a player, that none of that stuff will be a reality if I don't, enter through the practice doorway.
Yeah.
And I like how you used the gym analogy. It's like kind of going to the gym. I use that analogy all the time with my students. I remember, this is a long time ago. I was in a relationship with someone, and it was probably 20 years ago. I was in a relationship with someone, and I kept trying to get them to go to the gym with me. And I was like, hey, let's go to the gym. It'd be cool. I've been in the gym since I was about 14. And so it's something I just do all the time. And she finally got really frustrated with me, and she said, you go to the gym because you like the gym. I don't like the gym. That's why I don't go to the gym. And something occurred to me. She totally misunderstood what was actually occurring. I don't like the gym either. But I like the results.
You like the results. Yeah. You like how you feel after. You like what you
That's right.
After. Yeah.
That's right. And the sense of accomplishment, all of that. I like this thing of doing something every day. I started doing a video series. They're called, what is it? Hot Lick videos. And basically I wanted to do something every day. I had neglected my Instagram forever. Yeah. And I finally decided, okay, I need to do this. Of course I was considering things like recruiting students, and realizing that that's probably a more, it just makes more sense to do it there than Facebook.
Right.
The kids I'm trying to recruit, they think that Facebook is for their parents.
Right.
And so I was like, I need to spend some time, and what is a way that I can consistently get content out, maybe show some of my versatility, force myself to do something consistently, but something that I could maintain.
Right.
And so I just started, I play a line, Hot Lick number 1.
Right.
Next day, play a line, Hot Lick number 2. And then it wasn't until after maybe 50 of them or something, 75 of them or something, that people kept asking me about, do you have this? Do you have a PDF? Do you have this written out? And so I was like, oh, well, maybe that would be a thing. Maybe somebody wants that. And so then I started having somebody transcribe them. Mm-hmm. And so now those things are available on my website. Mm-hmm. But that was never like the initial purpose of it. The initial purpose was to make me do something consistently, and to try to stop neglecting my Instagram, honestly.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting how some of that stuff actually can turn into something after you've actually put the time in and done the consistent work, because it never seems glamorous. It never seems, you don't know what you have. You have no idea, because you can't transport to the future and then look back.
Right.
So you just have to it's kind of like, I don't know, I guess it's a leap of faith, sort of, So.
Yeah, and there's something about sort of like I said, about the public commitment, to it, which for some people is really helpful, and for other people it doesn't matter, or it's not helpful. But if you are that type of person, it can be a really good way to get yourself motivated to do the things that that somewhere inside of you is saying this wants to be done, but this other force is saying, I'll play a video game, I'll do it tomorrow, whatever. You know what I mean? It's a way of conquering that.
I will definitely admit, I tend to be pretty self-motivated, but I'm human, which means that external motivation also works. And so once I got to about, I don't know, 75 or something, then I was like, I'm locked in now. I have to do this.
Yeah.
I have to do it every day, because if I don't, then it's going to be like, this is lame. Why did this guy stop doing this?
Right.
You know, there's a little bit of that going on. So
Yeah.
anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. It's a, you know, and like you said at the beginning, when you throw kids in the mix too, it's just you have to constantly reevaluate and rebalance and you know, I think it's just take what you can do when you can do it and make the most of it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the interviews you're doing right now, like you said, they started as being, I don't think you're calling them the quarantine interviews anymore, but that's what you did to start. Am I right about that?
You're right.
I mean, so that's like, you could sit around and do nothing, or you could make something happen, you know? So you say, all right, I'm going to make something happen, which is, I think that's the way to do it.